growing wheat and cow food, because very strange. If I'm born childhood on, I would be so, and the profession of the person would be very clear. Where it is almost impossible to is in where predominant. Most people are goodness in town. In very hard to find this. So we have to see that the form, and we, I don't hear the Brahma previously when I contact with Krishna consciousness. Sense that a different. So when we're speaking of, we always say people are Brahmin initially, second initiated. They're doing so. The are dream, and because first go to the guru. So in Brahmin, and from there they move on. So the Rijas, so they are that will be the Grihastha, proper for passion and ignorance. They first go to the guru. As they get trained in Vedic knowledge, they become Dvija. The sense what gives you access to studying Sanskrit and the access to the Kshatriyas. There are 3 ashrams, because then they only to fight Prastha, that and one Prastha dwell in the forest free of from the fruits and from the berries, live and get all which which later it was who is in the mode of he is a Grihastha ashram, and he's only eligible because the sannyasis and by ashrams. So unless you have and studied a lot, and it would be not very conducive. And you sit with Grihastha. So this is Prabhupada says here, particular activities that come. So after this or animal like. consciousness, and it says in some place that human life, when itself a question, it asks why and why I'm suffering. That is the first. The animal can only see food and can see the some he and to ask himself why I'm here. What is this? Is when thing, and that is all here for some to go. We've asked ourselves this question: suffering. So more people in this present was there from childhood on bombarded. But you will be happy if you have what, they get an indoor, and if, because you don't, I'm unhappy. Why? Because of money. Then I would be. So this is an illusion, and the create intelligence, because the couple to that Krishna says there is that four people conscious, the four different people in the ones who are in material process, and the ones who are actually looking for the absolute truth. And in that section, anyhow, I don't want to jump the sloka too much. Theoretically, only the person who's actually looking for the absolute truth is actually a bona fide candidate for Krishna consciousness. And the other three have to be quickly trained, and in that time where they're looking for what they're looking for, until they're getting that, they have to become free from that desire which brought them to inquisitive of incursion into Krishna consciousness. If somebody is suffering and he comes to the temple, usually in a relatively short amount of time, people will feel happy, become effulgent, become happy, and their distress is gone. So by that time, they have to be purified from the reason they come here, because now they're well, now they can move on. It's the same thing, the people who are looking for wealth. I don't know, that is not so prominent in our temples. I went to Agra. I don't know, some of you been in Vrindavan. I don't know if you have seen, we have some marble pictures which we set up around the temple. Marble inlay pictures of Krishna. And we went to Agra, that is where the craft is performed. And we went to many different people, they make a sample picture. And then one person, he was the son of the king, of the previous king of Agra, the royal Bahadur was his father, or his grandfather. And he was making a lot of things. He was also making those marble pictures. And he also agreed to make one sample picture. And then afterwards, his business increased like anything. So he became to Krishna consciousness like that. He realized, this Hare Krishna people have come, since I made this picture for them, my business is flourishing very well. So he has faith in Krishna now from that. But we could think, now his business is running well. Now he doesn't really need the Hare Krishnas anymore. He's a nice guy, so he's still making the pictures at a very low rate, almost like for free. But so we have to be careful. And then the person who's inquisitive, once you come to Krishna consciousness and you a little bit come to the mode of goodness, or a little bit even above towards pure goodness, the amount of knowledge we have and gotten, even a new bhakta, Srila Prabhupada says, even one of our children can defeat a well-trained philosopher, because they know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we're getting the knowledge pretty few. So then when you have the knowledge, then maybe you don't need the Krishna consciousness anymore. So we have to be very careful. We're very lucky, we're very fortunate that we are here. And we have to be train ourselves in the philosophy. At least it says here later on that even a person who is in the mode of goodness cannot rise higher. He cannot go beyond the concept of Brahman, and cannot understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this morning Maharaj said, we have to, after we've done all our services and after we have been some time in Krishna consciousness, we have to introspect and we have to reflect, and we have to spend time with Krishna, our personal time with Krishna, when we're chanting japa or when we're reading or whatever is our activity. We have to spend that time with Krishna and reflect on our relationship with Krishna. Later in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says very clearly that whatever we might be, this is not our original position. Maharaj gives this out of body experience this morning, and yes, on YouTube you find many people who had this experience, but still that doesn't help them. But it makes it very clear that this body is separate from the consciousness. We learn that even in biology. What's the difference between a living thing and a dead thing? What's the difference? Consciousness. Even a small one-celled living being, if you make it hot, it will go away from hot. Or if you put some acid in the solution, it will try to get away from that thing. It has a consciousness of its surrounding. So a stone or something, you make it hot, you break it, whatever, it will have no reaction to that. And then Srila Prabhupada makes a simple statement: life comes from life. That is the next step. But there I didn't want to go. The point I'm making, that the living entity is separate from this body. And he makes a point also very nice, that we don't know what the next body will bring. We can past life regression. You know what? You hear that past life regression. There's even one devotee in England does that. You can put you a little bit in hypnosis and you remember your last life. And even Krishna says that I have given the knowledge before and I know you very well and I can remember all those lives, but you cannot, to Arjuna. So Krishna, as a Paramatma, he knows all of our lives, but even we, if we're getting in our subconsciousness, maybe the last 2, 3, 4, 5 lives, we can remember. But under no circumstances will we be able to understand or know what is our next life, unless we are fully self-realized. That means we know who we are in relationship with Krishna. We have re-established our relationship with Krishna. This is a very high level of Krishna consciousness. Besides that, we don't know what is coming next, but we know that this is temporary. The ones of us who are a little bit getting older, we know that the time is coming very soon. Even my very total kami father, who does not want to know anything about Krishna consciousness, he knows very well that very soon his time is up. So, and then we are dying, and it is very brutal when we ask why I'm suffering. The ultimate suffering is that we are creating a situation in this world where we are binding with our family members, or even we are binding with our spiritual master, or we are binding with other brahmacharis, we are binding with the deity, with the surrounding, we are rendering service in a particular circumstances. And then, this body is coming to an end, and then the soul gets removed from this body, and then again we get thrown into a womb. There's also a description of the pious soul in the womb. It prays. It's very unhappy to be in the womb. It is not happy in that situation. And then it prays, when I come out, O Lord, I will worship you. And then it comes out, and we see the small children, they're getting very much attention. The mother loves them very much, the father loves them very much, the grandparents love them very much, the brothers, sisters. And then immediately there comes the identification. Oh, it's so nice, they're all looking at me, and we're becoming the center of the, at least in our consciousness, center of this universe. So as devotees, we have to, so also it speaks here about different modes of nature. We have to eventually come, first of all, to the mode of goodness. Srila Prabhupada says it is a stepping stone. It is not that it is bad. It doesn't really lead to anything, but it is like a ladder. In the mode of ignorance, it's very difficult to see and understand. In the mode of passion, we might be able to render a lot of service. We run around and do so many things, and we're doing it for Krishna, fair enough. But then when you come in the mode of goodness, then you'll be able to study more. You can be able to analyze yourself more. You can see your anattas more clearly. And then from that situation where the mind is not like a wild water, it's more like a clear lake where the reflection of the surrounding is coming very clearly. Then from there we have to step to Vishuddha Sattva, we have to step to pure goodness. Pure goodness means is that we are giving up the consciousness which comes with this body, and we are rising above that consciousness, which is not so easy in general. It's called anatta nivritti. This is actually when Krishna consciousness starts. As long as we're struggling with the anattas, we're very much forced to be in Vaidhi Bhakti. And then when we're reaching anatta nivritti, afterwards we're moving towards the stage of then comes nistha, and then eventually we're moving towards bhava. In bhava bhakti, we're actually performing the same activities which we're performing in Vaidhi Bhakti, but then we have a taste for that. If I remember, I newly joined in Vrindavan, and even I was an early riser already before, but I remember a couple of times standing in Mangalati, and I was so tired that I fall asleep while standing. I don't know, some of the brahmacharis know that feeling. You're on Mangalati, and it's just for a few seconds. The body sacks down, and then you wake up. So this is obviously sadhana bhakti. You actually, the body would need and the mind would need to actually lay down on your mat and sleep. But because the temple management and because Mangalati is the right thing for you, you're coming for Mangalati. Whereas as the years are progressing, even if you're tired and even if your body says to sleep, and maybe nobody even force you or nobody even care if you go for Mangalati or not, as a Grihastha people, you go or you may not go, but your heart is longing to see the Lord. You're longing to be in Mangalati, you're longing to chant your japa, you're longing to come for the darshanati and for the class. So that is where the changeover is happening, where that is what Maharaj also said this morning, where we're actually getting a taste. He was not so happy with all of us. We were not enthusiastically dancing in his kirtan, so he said we're not having the taste. And ultimately, if we want to really have Krishna, we have to have the taste. Without taste, it will become very difficult. And then we could ask how we get the taste. If you associate with a drunkard, then? So you associate, this morning we got nice association. Prabhuji is here, he is a long time around. We see the devotees who are very fixed in their devotional service, who are very happily performing devotional service. We have to take their association, and that will give arise enthusiasm in our own hearts to become Krishna conscious. So I have another half of my presentation. Is there any questions or any comment on the Gita part? Yes, bro.
Thank you. This verse is actually, and the verse before is very interesting because, as in other sections of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks here about this unique or seemingly unique philosophical point of the three modes of material nature. And is there in other kind of religions or philosophical ways or whatever, is there something similar, like what Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita as the three modes of material nature? Or is that really that only this is to be found in our...
Okay, that's an interesting question. Yeah, I would say so. If you go to the Buddhism, which is in a sense a little bit of an offshoot of what I would say Hinduism. I'm not so sure. Yes, they also have different steps of purification. And then when you go further to the Zen Buddhism, which is a Japanese, they're saying something similar to us, that if you behave purely for I don't know how many thousand lifetimes, then you can become the Buddha. So they're having a sadhana where you have purity, and when that purity is maintained. But the thing is that nobody has a clear-cut understanding, Rajagun. I mean, in Germany it is so nice. Passion means? Means what?
To create suffering.
Yeah. So very. It was Martin Luther who was very unhappy that the priest would only be able to read the Bible. It was very similar to the Drijas, because if you want to read the Bible, that means you have to go to the priest school, and then in the priest school you would learn Latin, and once you learn Latin, then you can read and interpret the Bible. And the common people couldn't do that. So there's that famous the priests were doing all sorts of nonsense. Wie war das? Die Münze in dem Kasten klingt, die Seele aus dem Feuer springt. They would tell people that your ancestors are all in hell, but if you give a nice donation in the church box and the coin makes a sound, then your ancestors will jump out from the fire of hell. So he was very unhappy with that, and he invented actually the written German language. So that's why we have so nice names like Leidenschaft. Passion creates suffering. So no, I don't think other religions have a very clear cut. The Vedic religion is very, very detailed in any regard. In any regard, I don't think they have this concept of hell and heaven. They have the concept of pious and impious. Good activities, you go to the church, and bad activities, you go and get drunk. But then the priest also, Klosterbräu or something, in Germany it's very famous. The priest were brewing the best beer. So I don't think it is very clear cut. Or then you have the Javana religion. You have the Mohammedans who are like outright it's a warrior religion. Basically, it seems it has been created to make the people, the warriors, to give them an aim, basically, that the disbelievers are bad and you have to cut them, and if you cut them, you go to heaven. So I don't think there is much of an understanding. The prophet himself slept with young girls, and I don't even want to say from the Versasana. You can read it yourself. Doesn't sound very sattvic. All right?
Thank you.
Anyone else? Question? Comment? Yes, bro.
Yeah, you said life begins with consciousness, or is consciousness, and I understand it like this.
No. My point was the difference between a living entity and a dead matter is consciousness. And then I said spiritual life starts when we ask ourselves the question, why I'm here. Srila Prabhupada said that, why I'm here and why I'm suffering. You get a translation?
No.
English is okay?
No, it's okay. Yeah.
I kann auch auf Deutsch das sagen.
Yeah, I understood, but does it also mean that it has a soul? The consciousness needs soul, right?
The soul is the consciousness. Original. We are in the spiritual world. Okay? There is originally the spiritual world. And in the spiritual world, the soul is in its original form. It has a form there. And it has a service there. Now, it's a very complicated issue why we have come here. But basically we say there are two varieties of souls. One variety is Nitya Siddha. There, in the original form and in the original function in the spiritual world. And then, on the other hand, you have Nitya Baddha. That means eternally conditioned souls. And we are in the same place, but it is like maybe 20 kilometers from here the sun is shining and it is warm, but right now we are under the cloud cover, so we are not getting the rays of the sun. So we cannot perceive Krishna directly. We have the light of the sun, and we have the matter around us, which is also Krishna's creation, but it is not directly Krishna's. As a soul, we are Satchit and Ananda. That means we're full of bliss, we're eternal, and we're full of knowledge. Huh? But right now we are in that area where the shadow is there, and the shadow basically means we're coming into the modes of material nature. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now first there comes contaminated consciousness. You have the pure living entity with pure consciousness. It also has ego, but it is real ego. But then comes contaminated consciousness. It's a very, we say Adam and Eva, the God told them you do anything, but you do not eat that apple. So in the moment they eat that apple basically means that you want to enjoy it independent of God. This is called contaminated consciousness. And in the moment your consciousness becomes contaminated, you drop from the illuminated area into the shadowed area. And the first thing what will happen to is you come under the influence of false ego. And that means that now your soul is entering into a body, and the soul has nothing to do with this body, will start thinking, I'm this body. And then afterwards comes intelligence, mind, and then it comes down to the gross material elements. And again, once you're in this body, Prabhupada says there are different types of body with different psychological or biological outlooks. But once you're within this body, then you fall under the modes of material nature. So raising spiritual consciousness should ultimately lead one to the position where you can actually see your soul. Now, all of us, we are aspiring to see Krishna face to face. But it is not like I'm opening my computer, I have a slideshow here, or I run a movie here, and I'm watching Krishna in the movie. I can see Krishna only if I'm in my form, only if I'm in my spiritual consciousness, only if I am my original form in Krishna Lila or in Vishnu, wherever I have to go, looking out of my spiritual eyes, then I can see Krishna. Until then, I see the deity, or I see the picture, I perceive Krishna to the Bhagavad Gita or the Srimad-Bhagavatam, to the ears, to the holy name. But really, to have real ego, that requires a very high level of purity. So this is contaminated consciousness, where the covering is there, where the illumination is not there, or you have uncontaminated real ego when you're in your original form, where the soul is having its original shape. All right?
Yeah, thank you. My question, I wondered more about some things in the body are also living, maybe some creatures in the body, I don't know, parasites or some good bacteria, if they are also kind of living, or if they have a soul or consciousness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. But your consciousness, you're the primary living entity in your body, so they are depending on your consciousness. If you're dying, they will also die, right? So they're depending on you.
Okay.
It's like a farmer. The farmer next door maybe has some 100 chickens or something. So same like we have bacteria or we have parasites in us. They're living in our body, but they are independent. But their consciousness is very inferior, where our consciousness is very superior in that sense. Okay. Fine.
Thank you.
All right. Okay.
I have also one question.
Yes.
If we have time, question about suffering. So I wanted to ask why Krishna made it like that we are suffering, but sometimes we cannot understand it properly for what I'm suffer. For example, when in this life I can make a lot of bad things, and then the next 1,000 life I will born as some animal and I will suffer, and then I will have no possibility to understand for what I am suffering. And yes, I also heard the answer that Krishna don't want to push us, to force us to see him and so on, but it's very difficult for me to understand because actually when I suffer in this material world, at some point I will anyway come back to Krishna. But yes, because I'm suffering and I will come back, but it's like a more difficult when I don't understand for what I'm suffering. So for what, what is the purpose?
I got your point.
Yes.
I got your point. Okay. If you're a criminal and you do criminal activity, then basically you know that you can get caught. You may hope that you will not get caught, but you know that you will get caught. And once you're caught, you may deny in front of the judge, I didn't do it, he did it, and even if they have you fully in the grip, where they have pictures of you doing it, still you will say, I didn't want to do it. And then next thing is, I wasn't fully consciousness, I cannot be held accountable because I was drunk or this or that. Or you will say, my mother didn't love me and that's why I'm a bad person and so I should get less punished. There's so many reasons people come up is why they're not. But deep down, when you do a crime, you know that you will be punished if you get caught. And then you get put in prison. So who is responsible for the suffering in prison? Well, I've done the crime, right? So now your question is a little tricky. I got the scope of your question. You're asking, hey, now I'm doing a big mistake. I'll eat a cow, and then for as many hairs on the body of the cow, I will have to suffer. And you're thinking after 10 lifetimes of suffering, I don't even know why I'm suffering. I gotten your point. But when Srila Prabhupada came out with the 5th canto, there was a significant amount of devotees were leaving because they couldn't scope with that idea that there is a hell and people get beaten and torn apart and this and that. So it is only meant for the soul to slowly but surely realize that it has to make better. See, ultimately, when you're an animal, there is no suffering. You understand what I'm saying? You're intelligent. If I tell you that you will go to jail, so don't do that, you can understand that. An animal cannot understand that, and the animal doesn't create pious or impious activity. It's just like how to describe? It's just like school, you know. You go kindergarten, then you go first, second, third. You build up. So first you come as a worm, then you come as this, and then slowly the life. Then finally you become a human being. And most of the human beings are also like animals because they don't ask the question why I'm here. They're not having no consciousness about that. So you can't say at some point the living entity has chosen to come here. Right? And at that moment, he has done the cardinal sin. It has done the crime that he wanted to be independent of Krishna. So the beginning question is why Krishna is making me suffering. If there's Krishna and there's a beautiful spiritual world where everyone is joining Krishna, then why he has put me here, or why I'm here and why I'm suffering? Because I'd chosen to be independent of Krishna. And then I've chosen to commit sins. And then I have to suffer for that. So the material world is not it is very well sorted out, but it is a machine. Ultimately, it is a machine. And in the machine, the laws of material nature, Srila Prabhupada uses the stringent laws of material nature. So, now, if that is conducive for the living entity to be a worm, or is that conducive for the living entity to stand 100 years as a tree? No, it is not. It is a waste of time. But that is the way it is. I can't really answer your question. I just give you the surrounding. Because once you're a worm or once you're a dog, you have no chance. But at that point, you don't perceive it as suffering also. You understand? An animal don't know. Obviously, the animal also likes. If you pet the animal, it's happy. If you give him something to eat, if you put him in a cage and lock him up, he's not happy. He's also suffering. But he can't have a deeper thought about that. He's just feeling unhappy and happy, or a little more happy, a little less happy. So, and when you go into the lower parts of existence, or you go to hell, that is very great suffering, but that is over very quickly. When you go to the higher planets, then 1 day of Brahma is unbelievable long time. When you go to hell, the time goes over very quickly. And then when you next time take birth, you will think about it deep down. It's okay? You want to redefine?
Actually, yes. So I heard this answer already.
Yeah.
My question is more, Krishna don't want to push us, don't want to push us to come back to him, but I see this world is like a big machine that's also there is suffering actually to push us to this.
No, Krishna wants us to come back to him. Krishna is in your heart as a Paramatma. He's watching you, and then he's sending the scripture, then he's sending the devotees, then he's coming himself. It says here, I'm coming back to establish religion and punish the miscreants. Krishna is coming. We're hearing Krishna spoke this. He didn't spoke that only for Arjuna, he spoke that for us, right? And then he sent Srila Prabhupada, and then he sent Sachinandan Swami, and then he sent other devotees, and he sent somebody to give you the first book or meet you on the street. Krishna is coming and want to pull us back. You can't say Krishna is, I don't know, you read the story about Gop Kumar? It's a story about, anyhow, finally he's going to all sorts of stages, and finally he meets Krishna, and Krishna faints when he embraces his devotee, when he finally come back to the spiritual world. No, he wants you back. He's waiting for a long time. But we have to want to come back to Krishna. The difficulty is not with Krishna. The difficulty is not with the material energy. It's not with anyone else and with ourselves. Nitya Baddha, we are eternally conditioned. We are in a bad situation. And even Krishna says, hey, come to me. We all want to come, but okay, let me a little bit have this sense enjoyment and a little bit of that. Let me a little bit relax here. Let me a little bit relax there. Let me still do a little bit this, and send me a little bit afterwards. I'll come and somewhere have a concept. Maybe at the end of the life, finally will surrender, or it will happen automatically one day. So we do want Krishna, but we don't want to do the effort. Huh? More?
Then why is it so that we cannot understand that we suffer for something? When I do something bad, I don't become the reaction immediately. Then it will be more understandable and more effective for us. So more effective system. Yes,
No. You wanted to enjoy independent of Krishna. So he has created a world where you feel that you can enjoy. Aham Ishvara, you're the boss in your universe. I'm the doer, I'm the enjoyer, I'm the center of this universe. So, and then if you want to enjoy, then if you read the instruction manual, you read the scripture, let it be the Bible or the Quran, or it will be the Vedic scriptures in the better way. If you follow the instruction manuals, it say you do like that and you'll enjoy. If you do nicely, you go to the heavenly planets, man, you have the time of your life. Only then you have to come back. And it will say that if you do sinful activity, then the Yamadutas will drag you and flog you and give you also the hell of the life. So immediately if you do something wrong and the slap is coming, then there is no feeling that you can enjoy, right? This is a karma bhumi here, this material platform. So if you do pious activity, you go to the heaven, and if you do bad activities, but you always come back here. See, first the living entity is just enjoying. Then eventually the living entity comes to this question where he's wondering what this is for. And in the moment he's little bit coming out in consciousness, he start feeling some compassion. So he will try to help others. And the moment you step away from satisfying yourself and you try to use your energy in engaging in service to others, then you get elevated. And then you get Sukriti. And with the Sukriti, you can go to the heavenly planets, you get a better body, you get more understanding, you raise from yourself from ignorance, slowly you come to goodness. And then one day, you give out free meals and a devotee come by and he's hungry for some reason, he eat your apple or whatever, and then he's blessing you. Then you get bhakti sukriti, and from there spiritual life is starting. And once you're trapped, there's kind of no way back, because whatever little Krishna consciousness you have engaged in this lifetime, that will be credited to you. Even if you do many bad activities and you go back to hell or this or that, that 1% is standing there, and in the moment your head is popping up, then again you're going to meet the devotees, and again you're going to a little bit advance in Krishna consciousness. Huh? You said it's automatically to go back to Godhead. No, only by the mercy of the devotee you can go back to God. It's not automatically. You have to do some pious activity. So when the pure devotee comes, Srila Prabhupada came, and some of the devotees are still here, and they're going back to Godhead, but not everyone. So why is that? Even I have very wonderful seeds. If I spread out the seeds, if they fall on an unfertile ground, it will be very difficult to sprout. So we have to, it's a mixture of the mercy of the pure devotee, and a certain amount of readiness is maybe required. But basically it is causeless. The chance of going back to the mercy of the pure devotee is causeless. Okay. One more is fully satisfied? Okay, take it. Hare Krishna. So, yeah. I have the very fortunate situation that in 2001, I was on Padayatra long back from 89 to 99. I was on All India Padayatra, and I guess because I did this Padayatra, when we had an ICC meeting, that's a meeting of all the temple presidents in India. I was in Pandharpur that time. Somebody suggested my name for Kumbha Mela, and in 2001, I first time did a Kumbha Mela. My wife was with me, and Dinabandhu and Sarvabhauma. I don't know, some of you, Dinabandhu from Vrindavan and Sarvabhauma, he's a great Pandit. And we went to Kumbha Mela, and it was the first time I came to Kumbha Mela. So we here have the first slide. Jai Nishingadev, Prahlad Nishingadev, Bhagavan ki Jai. So Srila Prabhupada said, we have not come for liberation. So there's 4 places for Kumbha Mela. All of you a little bit have an idea. Prayagraj in India, Allahabad, does that tell anything for you? There is Ganga and Yamuna, they're coming down from the Himalayas into the plains. Jai Prahlad Nishingadev, Bhagavan ki Jai. And where the confluence of Ganga and Yamuna is? I think I'm in India, everyone knows all that. So this is called Prayagraj. That is very auspicious place. The Raj of the Prayag basically means confluence. So it's a very, very auspicious place. And then we have another place, that's Haridwar. You heard of Haridwar? That is near Rishikesh in the foothills of the Himalayas. Then we have Nasik. That is where the river Godavari starts. And then we have Ujjain, Avantipur, where Krishna went for Gurukul. So 4 places of Kumbha Mela is there. So the idea of the story is that when we were hearing in the morning, when the churning is going on, then there was a fight about the nectar, and Garuda snatched the nectar, and Mohini Murti had the nectar. So when the cup of nectar shake, then some drops drop down, and they drop down into the earthly realm. And when a certain star constellation is happening, that nectar is becoming available. So the idea of most people, even sadhus, when they're coming for Kumbha Mela, they're coming for those bathing days. And really a lot of people, I come to that later. So Srila Prabhupada says, we have not come, because when you take bath, and the nectar is the nectar of immortality. The idea is, if you come in contact with that nectar, then you are liberated. Does that make sense? So Srila Prabhupada says, we have not come for liberation. That means we do not come here for taking baths and getting liberated. We have come to preach. being engaged in Krishna's unalloyed devotional service, we are already liberated. We are not interested in liberation. We have come to preach devotional service. Srila Prabhupada in Kumbha Mela 1971. Next. Yeah. These are the presiding deities. We have a ISKCON temple in Prayagraj. This slideshow is not really meant for this type of audience. It was a presentation to the ICC committee, my Kumbha Mela report. So these are the deities, Radha, Veni, Madhava, beautiful deities. Right at the bank of Yamuna, ISKCON has a beautiful temple there. And these deities are established there. Next. So then all of you have heard about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. So there's some pastimes of at Prayagraj. Next. There's Dash Atma Vedagat, where Srila Prabhupada instructed. And then near to that is the Veni Madhava temple. That is where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally also visited and chanted and danced. And then next, this is next. All of you heard about Vallabhacharya? Yeah? So he was a contemporary of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Is a Vallabhis, it's a whole sampradaya. They're worshipping Krishna as a baby. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was instructing, then he visited Veni Madhava, and when he came for the, he actually was there in Mark months, where also a small mini Mela was there. And he met Vallabhacharya, and Vallabhacharya invited him to come to his house. It's on the other side of the river. And you can read that in Chaitanya Charitamrita when Vallabhacharya brought him over to his house by boat. He took him over the Yamuna, and when Mahaprabhu was on the Yamuna, he was remembering Vrindavan and Krishna in the Yamuna, and he stood up in the boat and he started chanting and dancing in ecstasy. And Vallabhacharya came very much afraid the boat will fall over and he will drown. I'm not sure if he knows swimming or not. So then he went there. So Vallabhacharya's house is there. When we went there in 2001, it was literally like a time capsule. It literally was looking like 500 years back. Now you see it's marble floor, everything got a little renovated, so it's not the same anymore. But Vallabhacharya had 10 sons, and these 10 sons are the generations of those 10 sons are now the acharyas in the Vallabhachampradaya. Prusti mark. Next. So here you see the Sangam. It's aerial view. On the left side picture, you see how many people are there. That is not even one of the main bathing days. And then in the center of the picture, you see one very strong line with boats and things, the Sikha line. And then on the right picture, you see the color. You see? There in the front, that is Ganga, the brownish color, the muddy color. And it is mixing with Yamuna, the dark color. So that is... and there is a Shastric statement, wherever there is Ganga and Yamuna, there is also Saraswati. So it's called Triveni Sangam. Veni is river, Sri is it's Sri, and Sangam means confluence. So confluence of three rivers. The visible rivers are Ganga and Yamuna, and the invisible river is Saraswati. But when you go up into the Himalayas, when you go from Badrinath, you go to Mana, and at Mana, a very short stretch, Saraswati actually appears. It comes out at beamful in like a big waterfall, and then at Keshava Prayag it merges into one into the Alakananda, and so Saraswati is flowing, and there it is reappearing. Next. So now we had a Mahakumbha Mela in 2025. It was in January. Next. So here you can see where is Prayagraj on the map. if you did not know that before. Next. So you see here this colorful, on the left-hand side, you see this colorful illustration. It is very, very amazing. If you ever have time and you hear about Kumbha Mela, please, please, please come and visit our ISKCON Kumbha Mela. Come next. It is really worth a visit. Basically, this is a city of millions of people gets erect in the bed of Ganga and partially Yamuna. So you see all these different colors. These are different sectors. It starts with a pink color right there at the Sangam, and then it goes clockwise around sector 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then our camp is at sector 19. So on the right side, you see Hare Krishna. On the right side, you see the outside of our camp. I don't know how clear you can see it. It's basically a huge tent, a huge pandal, and inside are dioramas and different preaching exhibitions. On the left side outside, it's a big screen. Prabhupada chanting is playing there. Next. So as Srila Prabhupada says, we're coming there for preaching. So one aspect is book distribution. Next. So 660 or 40, the two different numbers, millions of people came. So it gives a huge crowd of people for book distribution from all parts of India and also from Nepal and other places. Next. So you see all sorts of different people get a Bhagavad Gita. Next. This is a book table. And what we're doing is, we're getting the Bhagavad Gita sponsored. Most of the people are not so rich who are coming to Kumbha Mela. So we're getting the Bhagavad Gita sponsored. And then, because Srila Prabhupada didn't want us to give books for free, we give one small book for the rate of 20 rupees. And then we give the Bhagavad Gita as a free gift. Next. Oh no, back there. So we were able to distribute around 350,000 Bhagavad Gitas and the same amount of small books in about 2 months time. So it's a very, very big number of book distribution. Next. Yeah, back, one back. Whoa. So the next picture is coming Sai Snan. So as I said earlier, the concept is that you come to Prayagraj to take the bath to get liberated. So Sai Snan means royal snan in a sense. So there's 3 bathing days, major bathing days. This is Makara Sankranti. You heard about that day. Makara Sankranti is January 14. And then you have Mauni Amavasya, that was this time on January 29. And then you have Vanchant Panchami, that is the start of spring, that was 4th of February. So what has happened on the Sai Snan is that there's so many different akaras. There's, I think, 13 different akaras. There's different camps of sadhus, different groups, and there's a very strict rule. And in those different camps, there's Mahants or Mahamandaleshwas. There are different titles of sadhus. And they all go in a great procession to go to the Sangam, take baths, and come back. So they're all sitting on top of, the Mahants used to sit on top of elephants that became too uncontrollable. And now they're all sitting on top of vans or buses or on top of jeeps. But we also managed to join that system. So His Holiness Lokanath Swami and His Holiness Navayugenda Swami, they're also Mahants in Kumbha Mela, and due to that we have the right to join the procession. So here you see in that picture that Srila Prabhupada, we took the murti of Srila Prabhupada. First of all, we're not sitting anyone on top of the van. We're actually taking our Padayatra bullock cart with us, where there's Gauni Thai and Srila Prabhupada in front, and we have the bulls, and we do a huge kirtan procession. So technically, I think one Mahant is allowed to bring 5 or 10 people with us. We literally brought 1,000 people with us. The police tried to stop us, but fired up devotees, they come from all sides. So next slide. Bhagavati. Next. So we take that kirtan, and then we took Srila Prabhupada down to the bathing ghat. Like all the other people, they have an umbrella and they surround their Mahant. So we had our Mahant, Srila Prabhupada, we took his murti, and myself and Sitaram, we carried him, and the devotees were doing kirtan, and same like the others, who make side, push aside, and then we took him into the bathing ghat, and we gave him bath, and then we took him to the shore, we dried him up, brought him back to the cart, and then we did again Harinam Sankirtan back to the camp. So that we did three times. You want to connect my computer? I never connected my computer, but I bought it second hand, but it's a good machine. I'm not sure if I need any. Okay. Yeah, there we go. So easy. Sai Snan. So there you can see there is His Holiness Lokanath Swami, who is also our Mahant, and other devotees are there. On the right side, we're taking the murti of Srila Prabhupada, and very on the right, you see Jai Vijay. He's the old Padayatra leader. Lokanath Swami, we're all sitting on their chariots, Sarvabhauma, and we're going in Harinam Sankirtan to the Sai Snan procession. And there you can see, I mean, that is... we're pretty fired up, like all the other guys are fired up and chanting Hu. We all chant Hare Krishna, and it's pretty ecstatic. So then Harinam, Srila Prabhupada, we came for preaching. So first preaching is the book distribution. Second preaching is participating in the Sai Snan and showing that we are an authorized Sampradaya. And then third is Harinam Sankirtan. Every morning at 11 o'clock, the bullock cart goes out for Harinam Sankirtan. Also smaller groups go out for Harinam Sankirtan in different areas of the Kumbha Mela. And then next is Anadan. This is Prasadam distribution. This time we were very lucky. We got a very rich sponsor, Mr. Adani, came forward and basically provided unlimited money. There was no question of how much money, how much meals we get. It was only how much we could produce, that much we could distribute. So we basically distributed at least 50,000 meals for almost 2 months every single day. So it was, I don't think ISKCON ever did so much. I think in COVID, ISKCON Dwarka did a huge number also. And you could see this is in our camp. People come to our camp. All sorts of people are coming. But then also we had multiple vans which were going all over the Kumbha Mela, and we had many distribution points where we were distributing on the streets as well. On the upper picture you see a distribution point, and the other pictures are within our Prasad Pandal in our camp. Here you see these outlets, all sorts of outlets were there. And even very near to the Sangam, we also had an outlet. So then you see the mega kitchen. ISKCON Chowpatty has a very, now it is with ISKCON Pune actually. It has this very advanced kitchen. So I provide the basic infrastructure. I was a camp commander and I'm erecting this whole camp, and then they're setting up the kitchen inside that pandal. It is a very modernized kitchen. And here you see a chapati machine which can make up to 10,000 chapatis in an hour. And they're all cooking on big vessels. And the whole thing is with a crane system. So due to that, we can cook huge amounts on fire. And normally you have to scoop it out from there in smaller pots and carry. It's always very dangerous with the boiling things. Here, this whole thing will be just lifted. And it will get lifted on the train system. You can see on the center there's train lines and there's little trolleys, and it goes on the trolley. From there it goes directly into the distribution bundle, or it directly goes to the vehicles, get loaded on the vehicles and then distributed. Then we have the Padayatra. So heart of our Harinam Sankirtan program is ISKCON India had a Padayatra, the Padayatra India, but now we have about, I think, 8 Padayatras out. So this time we didn't call Padayatra India, we called the Padayatra Punjab, Haryana, and they came down from Delhi. So Padayatra carts are almost the same. We have a pair of Conkerage bulls from Gujarat, beautiful looking bulls with big horns, and Srila Prabhupada and Sisi Nitai Gosunda. And here in the front you see Jai Vijay. He was a Padayatra leader when I joined. So here you see the Padayatra cart in the pandal when we're parking it, and then every day we go on the road from 11 to 3 o'clock. We distribute. People get darshan. Here you see on the right side when the cart is arriving in the pandal, we're pulling it by hand. So then here you see the temple program. Here we did something we had done before, but we never did in that scale. We created a beautiful temple inside the pandal, and we're asking people to chant one round of the Hare Krishna Maha mantra, and we give them a free beads and a free bead bag. And then we have a little card. I don't know if that is so much. You see there's a little card, and then they're signing. It says here at this auspicious time of Kumbha Mela, in this auspicious place at Prayagraj, I'll promise that I will chant one round of the Hare Krishna Maha mantra for the rest of my life on those beads. So we signed up 25,000 people. We had 50,000 beads, but it does take a lot of time to they all have to chant one round. You have to explain them. So we couldn't do more than 500 to 1,000 people per day. Couldn't do more than that. And you see the temple room is very beautiful. Next is we had a little cinema projector where we're showing the Hare Krishna things. And here you see again the temple. The temple room, it's just like a normal temple room. It had a wooden floor and nice these walls. And on the right side you see those big looking like mushrooms, those stands. These are heaters, gas heaters. So the temple room was fully warm from early morning on. So instead of hanging out anywhere else, everyone came to the warm temple room to chant japa. That was the best place to be. So here you can see we got a full-fledged altar there. We were very lucky. In ISKCON Guntur, they had ordered a new altar but had not established it yet. And ISKCON Prayagraj had for Radiyatra a set of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. So we brought the real altar, put him on that platform and set it all up. It was just like a real temple, and the Padayatra cart was parked right next to that. Then we had Diorama preaching. It may look a little tacky maybe for the German person, but Indian people love those dioramas, and we had thousands and thousands and thousands of people day and night watching these dioramas. So all different types of Krishna Leela. And here it's Srinivas Kalyam. That means what you see here, the deity in the center, that is Tirupati Balaji. So the Tirupati devotees, the Samstag is also having a Balaji temple in Kumbha Mela. And then we invited them, and in our prasadam hall we set up this altar area for them. And then they came and made a marriage of Srinivas Govinda, Sri Devi and Bhu Devi. Yeah, we're participating there. It was very dynamic, very wonderful to see. Then we have a Yagyashala. Every single day from first day to last day, we're doing a Yagya there. Different priests came and performed. We had a little hospital for the devotees, also free treatment for outside people. And here's Mr. Gautam Adani. He's the one who sponsored the whole thing. And then Mrs. Sudha Murthy, she's also a very rich person, is an infotech company. Mr. Adani came and cooked, and he basically sponsored unlimited, as much as we could distribute, he was sponsoring. And he was very pleased. He came and took prasadam also. He was very happy. This Mrs. Sudha Murthy, she stood 1 hour and distributed prasadam. You can see the face. She was very happy. And had His Holiness Radhanath Swami spend some days and visited his kitchen, obviously. His Holiness Lokanath Swami, our Mahant, he's there also in every Kumbha Mela. And with very great regret, normally His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj also visited every Kumbha Mela without fail, but unfortunately he passed away. His Holiness Guru Prasad Swami came and finished. So it's just a glimpse. It's very difficult to explain, but first there is a riverbed, and then in that riverbed it is about maybe 15 kilometer long and about 2-3 kilometer to 4 kilometer wide. And then also on the other side of Ganga they set up again maybe 1 kilometer by 10 kilometer, and there's only sand. And then within 2-3 months, a whole city gets erected with electricity, with water, with drainage, with street names, a very organized grid of streets, with house numbers and everything, and internet and TV tower. Mobile towers. Everything is there, and millions of people are living there. And then afterwards, everything gets again folded up and carried home. So it's very interesting to see, and the amount of people was unimaginable. I mean, our camp was not necessarily on the main incoming road. It was on one of the bigger roads, but not on one of the main roads. And for almost 2 months, day and night, people were coming in, going to the Sangam, taking a bath and returning. So great opportunity to preach. So I'm begging to all of you, in 2 years, there is Kumbha Mela in Nasik. In 3 years, there is Kumbha Mela in Ujjain. Please come and visit us. The next Kumbha Mela will be for Western devotees in a nice time. It is around Jamastami time. It is rainy season in Nasik. It's not going to be so hot. It's kind of pleasant. The next one after is in Ujjain. That will be very, very hot, maybe unbearable. All right. Hare Krishna. Thank you for giving me a chance to speak, and thank you for your attention. Anyone has a question for Kumbha Mela, you can see me after. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.